Namaskar, Jai Hind is the way to greet on 15th August, and that's what we are doing. And we also hear the echo of Bharat Mata Ki Jai, not just in India, but away from India, wherever there are sons of Bharat Mata. And when we say sons of Bharat Mata, we want to feel a sense of pride in the nation to which we belong or the nation in which we were born. And many times we hear, or rather, we are hearing it again and again about Atmanirbhar Bharat. Now, in the context of the global cycle and the way each and every country is dependent on another country in some or the other way, how practical is this idea of self-reliant or Atmanirbhar Bharat and where it is coming from, etc. So we have the pleasure of two guests who will be sharing their thoughts, analytical thoughts rather. Vimal Goyalji joins me here from Long
Namaskar.
Island. He's an entrepreneur and community leader, also instrumental in organizing upcoming India Day parade at Hicksville. Harish Shankar Narayan ji, who has a lot of experience of banking, he joins me from Bengaluru. Both of you, Jai Hind, welcome.
Jai Hind.
Jai Hind.
Thank you.
So let me begin with you, Harishji. Atmanirbhar Bharat, when you heard, then you are aware, even as I speak to you, the whole world is interdependent. You have a lot of MOUs being signed among different countries, which means there is give and take happening. So, what is it that Prime Minister Narendra Modi refers to when he says Atmanirbhar Bharat?
Yeah, actually, Atmanirbhar Bharat is like we should certain things in business we should produce ourselves also. We should not depend on imports. So it's not that the interdependence and technology sharing of technology is there and manufacturing also, but certain items should be prepared manufactured in India. So that is why Atmanirbhar, because certain things like we used to import from China. To give you an example, even the Ganesh idol we used to import from China earlier, the Ganapati idol, which can be made in India. So it is not to reduce our dependency on China. The Atmanirbhar policy was launched by Mr. Modi, and that is why there is certain restrictions on imports also, because certain items can be manufactured in India. That doesn't mean he is against international trade or import or sharing of technology. So basically, and it also helps in improving the employment in the country also and developing the economy.
Absolutely. Makes sense. Vimalji, what is your take on the way this concept or idea? I think it's not new. Swadesh and Make in India again is another extension of Atmanirbhar Bharat. But
Atmanirbhar.
practically speaking, being an entrepreneur, how do you see this? Is it working against the foreign direct investment, though data doesn't suggest what I just said. But your take on the idea of self-reliant Bharat and its practical aspect, Vimalji.
Okay. Ashok ji and Harish ji, जो self-reliant है does not mean कि we break up with everybody else in the world and we do everything internally. It doesn't mean that. What it basically means is we need to create our foundation strong, meaning the basic things that Modi ji talks about: the food, the industry, the highway, the infrastructure, dams, water, municipal system, the sewer system. These things have to be made so strong that everything else will follow. So that's the foundation. If we determine to be self-reliant, we need to make all our infrastructure strong and ready to produce, and that includes the agriculture. If you have water, if you have sewer system, if you build dams, if you build highways, all of that stuff will help you be a self-reliant. That's where you start. Once you start doing that, everything else will follow. The industries will follow. People, I mean, Tesla will be building in India today. If they knew that we had highway that they can transport everything, We have shipping system that can bring into the port. The problem is we don't have enough ports. We don't have enough airports. We don't know where to land a plane if there is a problem in Delhi airport or Calcutta airport or Bombay airport, because there's no other airport around. So these are the things, basic things that we need.
The
And
infrastructure
then
has
we
to
will
improve.
Absolutely. So, infrastructure development is the key for speed of development, and I think government has been very focused on that. Harishji, if you look at the speed at which roads are being built, and I think we are often on losing the flow of your image image from Bangalore, but your audio is
Yeah.
fine. So, talk to me about the mood of India as far as youth employment. The startup, of course, have taken in a big way, but recently we have heard like Baiju and some setbacks. Which
Yeah.
may put a very huge dent on the aspiration of young Indian entrepreneurs. Your take, Harish.
Yeah, actually, like I come from Bangalore, which is the startup capital of India. There are many startups which became unicorn. In the year 22, there were about more than 30 unicorns in Bangalore itself. So yeah, Baiju is one case where there was financial mismanagement, which is there. But there are other startups which are doing very well, who have become unicorn. Like a person from Jaipur came and he started one Razor Pay, which is doing very well. So there are many startups which are doing well. So Baiju is one case where yes, there was an issue. There some investigations are going on the financial mismanagement, but most of the startups are doing well. But how many of these startups unicorns will become a big company is a big question, because these are all valuations basically basis the investment which they receive from the venture capitalists. But I have come across few of the startups during my survey working years. They have been doing very well. So there is good future for startups. Some of the startups are doing very well that way.
So, talking about
Yes, post
infrastructure,
COVID, some of the
yeah, go ahead.
infrastructure, I would say, has improved over the years now, particularly if you see the highways, the metros being constructed, the airports which are coming up. Like the other day in the parliament, also, the finance minister, home minister were mentioning earlier, there were about 74 airports. Now there are 148 airports in the country. They are all, some of them may be airstrips, but yes, the air connectivity has improved. The
Yeah. So, yeah, let me come back to you, Harish. And yeah,
greenfield airports are
yeah.
coming up in all the. There is just on infrastructure also.
Absolutely. So, Vimalji, when we talk about infrastructure, it is not just the roads. And in today's world, data has also, as Prime Minister referred to it, become a sort of oil or gold of the day. And from that point of view, the number of mobile users in India is probably highest in the world. And
That's
at the same time, the digitization of economy is also a kind of infrastructure which fuels the transactions and overall helps the economic development. How do you see this acting in achieving the goal of India becoming self-reliant, Vimalji?
okay. See, what happens is, Ashok ji and Harish ji, when I look at the technology that coming into India and coming out of India, they have the latest technology. Even we don't use that. Paytm in India they use. We just started doing the touch where we touch the machine with the credit card and it charges. I just came back from England and there everybody uses it. Here we don't. Rarely we use. So most of most of the new technology are being implemented in countries that were backwards, meaning they were not really they were not up and up. In US we've been using credit card from day one.
Yeah.
There they were not. So when they start something new, they get the best and they start with the best. So it really works so well that in India, the use of actual rupees is going down tremendously. We have people in India, our relatives, people that they go shopping everywhere. They use the Paytm, and it's amazing. Here I have to use my credit card. They don't even use the credit card. They just use the phone. So in that way, India has come up very well, and India has done amazing things that other countries have not done. And this is what is called self-reliance. And there are some areas that we are so good and self-reliant. And don't forget what Modi ji has done in the last few years. When I drive down the highway, and it's amazing what I see. And you see on TV here on CNN, they show you the old Delhi, Fatehpuri, and Chandni Chowk, where rickshaws are trying to make a crossing, and it's the intersection, and it's a big mayhem. And they said, "How does India work? How does this country run?"
So, Harish, you have been to USA, and what he's saying, of course, it makes sense. I think
Yes.
world is not willing to accept that India is finally actually shining in several ways with the vision with.
Yeah, actually now the digital payment has been it's highly successful. Even a street fruit vendor or a vegetable vendor, he will say कि you pay through Paytm or Google Pay or Phone Pay, the digital payment. So he will have a QR code, just scan the QR code and make the payment. Even an auto rickshaw or a taxi guy. So because earlier there used to be a problem with the change, you should have to tender exact change in rupee. Now the rupee transaction has come down drastically. Now everyone earlier the previous one of the earlier finance minister had challenged कि India the illiteracy is so high, your digital payment system will not work, but it has been highly successful. Everyone uses digital payment in India now. I was surprised that even a vegetable vendor, you say you pay through Google or pay through Paytm. So that's how it is. It is now, even you can manage going out without a wallet. Just carry your mobile and you can manage things, all the your payments and all that. You need
Yes.
not carry your credit card or currency or nothing. So that's one of the big success. The digital payment has been a big success in India that way.
Talking about self-reliance and use of technology, Vimalji, this is also an interesting data that over 10 crore teleconsultations through e-Sanjeevani has taken place, which means there is somebody sitting at a distance and yet you are getting your medical consultancy, and how this adds overall to the spirit of India moving ahead. And in addition uh, to this growth in the banking, a number of people started using bank facility or digital payment, etc. The way you feel overall about growth, how optimistic you are, that also makes a lot of difference. So I'll check with Harish ji, but sitting away from India, Bimalji, how do you see the aspirations of young India helping towards realizing the goal of self-reliance as is conceived, and at the same time we have the question of not many people getting employment, and uh, there is still, of course, inequality as everywhere, but in India also. So we will see imagination, reality, self-reliance.
What I see, Ashok ji and Harish ji, that we have come a long way from my time 40 years ago when I was in India, and people used to stand the corner, no jobs, nothing. They used to get a degree, law degree, or whatever degree, and they had no jobs. Things have changed. I go to the grocery store or a mall now, and I see so many employees working there 10, 20, 30, and they're all young kids and everything else. And this is amazing what they're doing. Now, one of the things that I'm very impressed with Indians' self reliance is the banking system. You just mentioned that to me. It's amazing how banks have become so efficient and so self-reliant. They don't need a Western bank to support them, because by what Modi ji is doing has made economy and the stock market, and I'm a stock trader, so they have made stock system and banking so efficient and so solid. And I'll give you an example. The banks in India, they ask pretty much the same questions what banks here ask me whenever I open an account. and they go through KYC. They want to know the customer. They want to know everything about you, even though you may not want to disclose everything to them. But this is how the Western system works, where you go to a financial planner and he wants to see how much money you have and where you have and what you do, how old you are, what's your goal, and what do you do in terms of employment and how many children you have. This is exactly what India is doing. Where I go, and this is what people ask me questions. So I said, India has come a long way, and this is called self reliance. That's where you basically come to that point, and then you go from there, and you basically run with this thing.
Yeah. So, Hariji, I remember a definition of culture suggesting that it is the collective memory of the collective victories in the consciousness of people, something like that. Not exact words, but so when you see that you are in the winning team, it helps you in dreaming big and working with passion to realize those dreams. In that context, how do you see the Chandrayaan 3 and these kind of achievements, having the Asia's largest factory to produce helicopter in Tunkuru, those kind of
Tumkuru, yes, yeah.
yeah. How they add overall to the mood of young entrepreneurs?
Actually, to tell you, the Indians, I was also watching on TV the launch of Chandrayaan 3. It gives a sort of excitement, a sense of achievement for all of us, though we are not connected with ISRO or the technology, but still a sense of our country is doing this. And to tell you, my cousin was so much enthused about this. She went to Sriharikota to see the launch, physical launch. So, I mean, that is the thing. And people called me, ki, yes, India has done that. So, that is a sense of achievement we get from this. And also, as you mentioned, I had been going to HAL and meeting senior officers in HAL, and they were telling about their setting up a factory near Tumkuru, which is about 70 kilometers from Bangalore, Tumkuru, a large helicopter facility. And that is the time when opposition was blaming ki HAL is not getting any orders and all that. Rafael order was not given to HAL. But the HAL guys were telling ki no, there are a lot of orders on hand and we are doing so many things. Today, I can see the helicopter factory has come up, the biggest, and they are getting GE for manufacturing the tie-up with the GE of US for engines. There and HAL has got the highest order book now compared in their history, and their share value is also going up. So likewise, all the defense factories are doing very well. They have got huge orders, and this Make in India has also helped the defense sector for because certain things could be manufactured in India. So those are being manufactured, and the import has been banned. There is curb on import on certain defense products which can be manufactured in India. And yes, certain technology has to be there because global this thing. So those tie-ups and imports are there, but smaller things are being manufactured in India. The trucks and the armored vehicles are being manufactured in India, and companies like L&T, Ashok Leland, they are doing a good job on that front. So it's encouraging the Indian economy, employment in India, as well as tying up with the foreign companies, the international companies for technology also. So it's both ways. It is not that we are not encouraging international trade, Modi ji. It is both ways, helping the Indian industry to grow, Indian employment to grow, Indian economy to grow. At the same time, have shared technology with the foreign companies.
Yeah. So we'll take 2 3 points from the point of view of India's growth as we mark India's Independence Day. And Vimalji, what is being projected is, and Prime Minister Narendra Modi in one of his address also said that guaranteed by our end of our next tenure, India will be number third largest economy in the
Economy,
world.
the third biggest economy.
Right, right. So right now it is fifth, and that also has happened under his watch in the last 9 years. This shift. Uh, so that is one aspect. Along with it, Hariji, we also hear that Maharashtra and Uttar Pradesh will break the 500 billion mark by 2027, and that is larger than the size of some of the Asian and European countries like Vietnam and Norway, etc. So these are kind of increasingly encouraging aspect.
Yes.
But now switching gears and looking at the way government's interference in the business, is it has it reduced or it is increasing? Well, I remember in initial election campaign, Prime Minister Narendra Modi mentioning that government has no business of being in the business or something like that. But so do you? How do you see from that point of view? Because if you want sustainable development, then the private entrepreneurs should take precedence, etc. How that equation is working out in India, Vimalji?
See, we need to understand and make sure that we can't compare India to other country like US and everything. India cannot be a capitalistic country. We have to feed 125 crore people here, and that's not what we have in US. So to feed so many people, take care of the infrastructure, provide basic needs. I mean, there are a lot of villages don't even have fresh water to drink, and that's the biggest problem with Laos. So these are the things that Modi ji's government is trying to take care of, because that's the most important thing, that you want to make sure your voters, the people who live, they have basic needs met: food, water, and all these things. So now, in terms of making changes to bringing the new technology and everything else, we need to have that. Why we are self-reliant on one side of basic needs, but then at the same time, we need to be able to have all kind of infrastructure system. So this way, now we are already on moon. That's amazing. The Chandrayaan number 2 crashed, and that was very disappointing. But then the third one is there, which is wonderful thing. It's soon it will land on moon. So these are the things that when Modi's government is doing, that makes it look like we are not behind everything. And
Yeah.
don't forget, we have labor force. It's amazing labor force. No country has that. And this labor force is well educated. They've been to IITs and major colleges. They have undergraduate degree. They have master's degree. You walk into a bank today and you don't see anyone with bachelor. They all have masters. It's amazing.
So
And
yeah,
I
Vimali, yeah, that's very very important to note. Uh, and let me switch gears slightly towards other challenge which India or any economy would face, Hariji, that relates to internal security. So you promise outside investors to invest in India, and then you have news headlines where there are riots somewhere or some big protests, and that is also supported by some political leaders from the opposition. Or right now, as there was no confidence motion and the discussions about what happened in Manipur, or recently what happened in Nu, or even earlier the very long running protests for the CA or farmers registration. So my question to you, Harishji, is how do you see government handling these kind of protests? Because you are getting a lot of money from the taxpayers through GST collection, etc. But then crores every day are lost uh, in these kind of unproductive things, Harishji.
Yes, I agree with you. Manipur is an issue, but Manipur is a legacy issue. It's not today's. The like it's been there since in the time of independence. This communal fight between Kukis and Metis is there, and this should have been solved much earlier. It's a legacy issue. But even yesterday, when I was watching Prime Minister addressing the Parliament, he was mentioning that it will be resolved in some time because it's a legacy issue. It's taking time. Yes, it is 2 months now. They should have curbed the violence, but because certain legacy issues, it is taking time. No was also an aberration, but if you see overall his 9 years, this type of incidents have come down compared to earlier years. These have come down. There are some sporadic incidents like Nu, Manipur, and something in Uttar Pradesh happened, but then it is that the number of such instances have come down now overall.
Yeah.
And particularly if you see Uttar Pradesh, the earlier people used to scare to invest in Uttar Pradesh. Now in Uttar Pradesh has become one of the hot destinations for investment.
Oh
There's a
yeah.
defense corridor coming up in Bundelkhand area. There's IT sector coming up near Noida. So and the infrastructure has improved in Uttar Pradesh. So, and I would also like to mention that when Prime Minister was focusing on economic development, employment, technology, when he started in 2014, the basic thing he was talking about was sanitation, they and bank accounts for everyone, rural this thing, because there was open defecation in India earlier. This thing now, constructing of lavatories across India, gas connections, electricity. So the basic things which earlier no prime minister had spoken, he has spoken about that, and he has done a good work on
Yes.
that
Yeah.
those aspects also.
Yeah, I do not disagree with you a bit, and I think Bimalji will also agree with me that not only in India, Prime Minister Narendra Modi connected with Indian diaspora in different countries. So wherever he goes, there is
Different
a
countries. Yes.
lot of
Definitely.
very very vibrant gathering of like here we have Indian Americans, and he somehow uh, there is an effect of being in his presence as you start thinking about India more than what you were thinking. So like
Yes.
we, both of us, me and Vimalji are sitting in New York, but what we are talking, many people in India also are also not looking at India as closely with so much interest as we are doing. So bringing this to you, Vimalji, from the point of view of India's relationship with foreign countries and its allies, and of course America, and how overall you see India's position in the global scenario.
Uh, Ashok, first of all, I would like to congratulate your ITV for giving us all the information, the latest information that comes out of India, and that really keeps us up, including your newspaper that I get, and you're doing a great job in that way. Uh,
So
now,
I take this a few seconds uh, to take your compliment to the
thank
chairman of ITV Gold, Padma Shri Resident Dr. Sudhir Parik ji. So thank you, Vimalji. Continue.
Okay, that's very good. And Sudhir Parik ji, I know him personally, and he's doing a wonderful job. He always comes to our events. Now, in terms of relationship of India, you know already that what Modi ji has done to the image. Has a magnetic personality, and he basically attracts everybody everywhere who he goes. So US is no different. Obviously, when he came, everybody went there to meet him. I went to see him in the Senate in Washington, D.C. Um, in terms of the image of India has changed tremendously in the last 10 years or ever since he's been in the office, because people see when business people go to India and they see the response from the government, they see the difference that it used to be. One of our senators went to Kerala the other day, and he was so shocked to see how Kerala had changed. And I can guarantee it's not the state government, it's the federal government that's really providing all the infrastructure to Kerala. So that image has changed tremendously. Now you,
You only just because just a minute to go, and I'll just have a concluding remarks from Harish ji. I appreciate your input, and Harish ji, being in India, let us
Yes.
switch the angle. As an Indian, how do you see your role in the growth of India or making India self-reliant, even if you are not directly related to anything in spirit or whatever? How do you see a common man, how he or she can play some role?
Actually, like I'm a common man, and I would like to see that India develops, and I would like to put in all my efforts to ensure that India develops. So one thing now I have seen is like most of the people are honestly paying their tax. Most of the people are honestly paying their tax, and the sense of social responsibility has come into us. So that is one big change that we are looking at, and we also encourage certain like the homemade products to be bought so that the Indian economy improves that way.
Yeah. So we'll have to leave it at that. Vimalji, thank you very much. I think we could cover a lot of references related
thank you,
to
Ashok.
India becoming self-reliant. And once again, I take this opportunity of saying Jai Hind and Bharat Mata ki Jai to
Bharat
you.
Mata ki
With thanks
Jai.
to each
Dhanyavad.
and
Thank you,
everyone.
Ashokji. Thank you, Vimalji. It was nice
Thank you,
having
Harish.